So, what if everything you've ever been taught about right and wrong, about your purpose, about the whole meaning of your life, what if it was all a lie? And not just some simple mistake, but a kind of cage, really, built to keep you from becoming who you could really be? Well, that is the absolutely explosive idea at the heart of Friedrich Nietzsche's most radical and, let's be honest, most misunderstood book.
All right, let's dive right in, because Thus Spoke Zarathustra is not your average philosophy book. It feels more like, well, like a prophecy. We're going to unpack the 6 huge ideas that really just blew the doors off of Western thought. We'll start with the 3 Metamorphoses, then get into that famous declaration that God is dead, the chilling warning of the last man, the goal of the Übermensch, the mind-bending test of eternal recurrence, and finally, we'll try to figure out why any of this matters to us today.
So, the book's prophet, this character named Zarathustra, he starts his whole teaching with this really powerful story. It's a parable about the journey of the human spirit. And we're not talking about some physical change here. This is all about a deep, internal transformation that you have to go through to get to real, genuine, creative freedom. And this slide really lays out the whole roadmap. So first, the spirit is like a camel. It kneels down, ready to be loaded up. It carries all the heavy weight of tradition, of society's rules, all the thou shalts. But then out in the desert, that camel transforms into a lion. The lion is a pure rebel. It fights back, roaring, "I will," against all those old values. But all the lion can do is destroy. To actually build something new, the lion has to become a child. The child is a new beginning. It's innocence, a sacred yes to life. It doesn't just tear things down, it creates its own world, its own rules, its own values. Okay, so from that journey of the spirit, Zarathustra moves on to his most famous, or infamous, announcement. And it is so important to get this right. This is not some kind of celebration. For Nietzsche, this is a diagnosis of a massive cultural catastrophe, one that's already happened, whether we realize it or not. When Zarathustra says this in the marketplace, he isn't happy about it. He's like a doctor giving a family some terrible news. He's saying that the modern world itself, our science, our reason, our skepticism, has slowly, piece by piece, dismantled the very belief in God that was the bedrock of our civilization for 2,000 years. We did it. And here's where it gets really terrifying. If the lawgiver is gone, then what happens to the laws? The whole idea of good and evil, of sin and virtue, it's just left hanging there, with nothing holding it up. Nietzsche's point is that most of us are just sleepwalking, still using a moral system that's effectively bankrupt, totally unaware that the ground has completely fallen out from under our feet. So, if we don't face up to this huge crisis of meaning, what happens to us? What do we become? Well, Zarathustra paints this absolutely chilling picture of the alternative, a future he is desperate for us to avoid. He calls it the age of the last man. This is the pathetic little motto of the last man. He doesn't want greatness or challenge, he just wants comfort, safety, and a nice long life without any suffering. There's no ambition, no struggle, just this bland, predictable mediocrity where everyone is the same and nobody takes any risks. And here's the darkest part. When Zarathustra tells the crowd about this vision, hoping to horrify them, they actually cheer for it. They yell, "Give us this last man." In response to that horrifying vision of ultimate comfort, Zarathustra offers his great alternative. He gives humanity a new goal, a new reason to strive and to overcome ourselves. Now that all the old reasons are gone, he calls this goal the Übermensch, which translates to the Overman. Now, the Overman is not some kind of superhero in a cape. It's a state of being, of spiritual and intellectual self-mastery. This is the person who is strong enough to live without needing a pat on the back from anyone, not from a God that's dead, and not from a society that's just drifting toward being comfortable. They don't go out looking for meaning. They create it for themselves right here on this earth. And we absolutely have to stop here and make something crystal clear, because this idea has been twisted into something monstrous. The Übermensch has nothing to do with a master race. The way the Nazis used this term was a complete, disgusting perversion of everything Nietzsche believed. He absolutely hated German nationalism and was fiercely against anti-Semitism. His philosophy is about an individual overcoming themselves, not about one group dominating another. So what is the engine that drives this self-overcoming? Nietzsche calls it the will to power. Now, that phrase sounds a little sinister, I know. It sounds like wanting to dominate other people. And for Nietzsche, yeah, that is one expression of it. But it's the weakest, most pathetic form. The strong expression, the one that can create an Übermensch, is the drive for self-mastery. It's that inner force pushing an artist to create a masterpiece or an athlete to break a world record, or any one of us to conquer our own weaknesses and become something more. This whole idea of strength leads us to one of Nietzsche's most explosive arguments, his history of morality. He says our ideas of good and evil aren't some universal truth. They were invented. He says originally you had master morality. The powerful and noble just looked at themselves and said, we are good. So good meant strong, proud, excellent. Bad was just an afterthought for anything weak or common. But then, he says, came this slave revolt in morality. It was born out of resentment. The oppressed, who couldn't win in the real world, flipped the whole script. They said, no, you powerful people are evil. It is we, the humble, the meek, the suffering, we are the good ones. He's not telling us to go back to being masters. He's just acting like a historian, asking us to be honest about where our values actually came from. All right, now we arrive at what might be the most psychologically crushing idea in the entire book. Nietzsche himself calls it the heaviest weight. It's the ultimate test to see if you can truly affirm your own life. So I want you to really honestly consider this. Imagine a demon creeps into your loneliest loneliness and says to you, this life, as you now live it and have lived it, you will have to live it once more and innumerable times more. And there will be nothing new in it, but every pain and every joy, every thought and sigh, and everything unutterably small or great in your life will have to return to you, all in the same succession and sequence. Would you fall to the ground and curse that demon? Or would you have once experienced a tremendous moment when you would have answered him, you are a god and never have I heard anything more divine? To be able to look that demon in the eye and say yes, to truly will the eternal return of your own life, mistakes and all, that is the highest affirmation of life imaginable. It means you love your existence so completely that you wouldn't remove a single thing, because every moment, especially the suffering, is what forged you into who you are. It's a kind of salvation, not by escaping life, but by diving into it completely. So, what in the world does this wild, poetic book from the 1880s have to do with us, right here, right now? Well, pretty much everything. Nietzsche's ideas are a direct challenge to our modern world, with its obsession with comfort and its quiet desperation for meaning. When you boil it all down, Zarathustra's message is a wake-up call. It's a demand. Don't just coast through life on autopilot, using values that someone else handed down to you. You have to face the terrifying truth that the universe doesn't come with a built-in meaning. But don't retreat into nihilism or the mindless comfort of the last man. You must create. You have to forge your own values, and in doing so, finally become who you truly are. And that's the final, burning question that Nietzsche leaves us with. It's not an easy one. In a world with no guarantees from the cosmos, where the easy path of comfort is always waiting for you, are you brave enough to handle the terrifying, exhilarating freedom of creating your own purpose?